up, ultra happy people? I am your host, ultra runner and coach Tanya, and your magnificent co-host, Andy.
Hello, is it
it's
me
again.
Do you know that song's been in my head for days since it was on the radio, and I can't get rid of it.
For me to introduce you.
No,
so
it was.
You could sing.
I've been waiting for a great opportunity to say it, to sing it, to whatever.
Here we go.
If Still happy again this
week.
week.
If you're running and you have like Andy singing in your ear.
Yeah, not very good.
That's the best way to start your run. Well, hello everyone. How's everyone been doing? How's your running been doing?
My running.
Update us. What is happening?
My running's been doing great.
Yeah, how's your knee feeling?
Well, let's start. Last week we went running out in the flat trails. What was it called?
So we went to Alcudra, where it's a cycling sort of track, but it's kind of like sandy over here, but it's quite flat, so it's not like trails. It's just like a park.
So while I loved the terrain, because it was a total mix, we had some concrete, we had some sand, we had some sort of hard packed sand and some trail. Loved it. My knee, my IT band and my hamstring at the back, remember we were saying, was playing up. So I ended up, we only done 15k, not the 20k that we wanted to do. But on the plus side, the next day, I wanted to run the day after to start practicing that, because that's going to be what's happening. And I got up and we had a good run that day.
We did have a really fun run running around the Palm. It is a very iconic run here in Dubai, which I haven't had the chance to do it. I've done little parts of it, but not the whole loop. And that was kind of fun, a little bit brutal. Andy wanted to go flat running, which I am not a fan. And more so if you are injured, I don't think it's the smartest idea, just because the pounding in the ground is harder when it's a flat, harder terrain. But listen, me as a coach, I know Andy's just starting, and if he wants to do something, I want him to kind of experience it himself. So I wouldn't say no. I did mention that is actually harder for your knee to do that, even though you may think, oh, it's easier, or it's, because it's flat and I'm not going to be climbing. Well, that can put also a lot of strain in your knee, because you're pounding much more than when you are out in the trails, when you're just hiking up and kind of walking down, and it's just much more slower pace. You know me, guys, I hate running overall. But I do hate even more running in flat. It's absolutely brutal. I do understand when I get some messages sometimes from people saying, I'm preparing for this 21K, or I just finished my first 21K, and they're like, oh my God, Tanya, I can't imagine, I can't comprehend how are you able to run 50, 100 miles or these crazy races. I'm like, because we don't run that much.
It's a run-walk, isn't it? I know.
We walk, and I mean, it's a fast walk, and it's easier on the body at certain point. Obviously, your legs, you're going up and down, so you're using different muscles than just pounding in a flat. Same, my hips after this weekend were a little bit destroyed, and clearly we didn't do that much running. Well, distance-wise,
that's still 25k in 2 days.
Yeah, but my hips were brutal. I can do 50 in the trails, no problem. But it's because I'm going up, I'm going down.
Yeah, but see that's
kind of like the mix of the terrain.
I think you're probably right. Is that I think different people again are affected differently, because I noticed that when I started to go up the mountains or those hills very steeply is when I started to get the pain in my knee.
Yeah.
Now I would imagine that a lot of people might be the same as that, but a lot of people might be different. They might find
it depends on the injury or sort of the problem that
what I've been doing is taking your advice and other people's advice as well. I'm working on exercises to try and strengthen that, because the aim of the game is obviously, no matter when it may arise, whether it be on the flats or whether it be on the hills, my T-band issue is not there. And actually it sounds like it's possibly not an easy solvable problem, but because it comes from your hips and your hip flexors, etc., and your glutes, if you do the work and you strengthen that, then it takes away that issue.
Yeah,
but everything. The good news is I've not been really getting much in my ankle. My ankle seems to be getting better, because I'm doing different exercises with that and trying to help it, which is absolutely life-changing
So
for me.
strength training is definitely, like I said to Andy, because he was saying that he was a little bit sore of his knee at like around 15 kilometers, when like a 10 kilometer or something, and he's like, oh, I don't know if I, but I'll push through and I'll power through this pain. And I'm like, let's not power through the pain. Like, let's just not, and more so in this kind of stage of your training, if you are starting to prepare like Andy and you're new into running and you're kind of like learning how your body is coping with different things and different volume, is something that you don't know and your body hasn't known either. So whenever you've experienced pain, it's better to kind of stop it. That's why we did only 15. They say, you know what, let's just stop it there. Let's not be brave and, break your knee or just make more damage on that injury or in that problem. Because the reality is, like, if you really get injured, you're not even going to, you're going to have to stop training, one, until you may not even get to the start line, which that happens a lot. I have a lot of athletes that come to me because of this problem. They're like, I've trained for a couple of ultras and I don't even make it to the start line because I get injured before. So getting that to the start line is half of the battle done.
I have a question.
Proceeding with like a lot of caution and
I would have been okay running 5, 10, 15 kilometres road running. Never had a problem with my IT band. And I built that up over the course of the 9 months that I've been running, 10 months I've been running. Why did it start when I went on the trails?
Because the movement, like I was explaining to you last time, the movement is not the same pattern. Like the flat terrain, your mechanics are different than when you are in on uneven terrain, obviously, and unsteady grounds, obviously. So that makes a lot more strain in your joints, and more so ankle and knee, which are obviously, and even hips as well. And also you're going up and you're going down. Things that doesn't happen in a flat, like you're carrying your body different ways and your mechanics are different. And that's why it requires much more body strength trail running than road running. And maybe people may kill me, but it is true. Like you need to, going up a mountain, you need a really strong glute to power up through, rather than, maybe in a flat race or a street race, you wouldn't particularly get a crazy uphill, like you wouldn't get a 2,000 elevation or, whatever we do usually in the weekends.
Well, you definitely do feel the difference going up and going down, etc.
Yeah.
Because you're using different muscles in trails. See, climbing up the hill or running up the hill.
Yeah.
You feel different muscles, and actually you feel better running down the hill because you're not using the same muscles, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
Whereas for most road running, apart from when you do get the odd hill, you're pretty much running at the same level.
It's the same,
and listen, like I said last time, I do love road running because that's where I get into a zone and just almost enjoy the run. Whereas with trail running, you're constantly thinking.
Yeah, it's a little bit more, like I feel a little bit more difficult in my joints, to be honest, because there's no such a, I mean, you could walk, right? But you're still in the same pattern. So you're pounding in the same area. Like your muscles do not get a rest. And when you're going uphill, well, then your quads rest a little bit. I'm saying this in quotations, but your glutes are more, fired up because you're going up. When you're going down, your glutes are a little bit relaxed, and then everything takes on your quads. So you're kind of like resting one part and then kind of working the other one. It's kind of like, so it gives a break to certain muscles and then work the other ones. When in flats, it's just the same muscles all the time for really long. So that's why when even ultra running, if you are picking your race, your first race, or your first ultra race, because that happens to me a lot. Athletes come to me, hey, I want to go into ultra running. What route or what should I be looking to be my first race? And I have people like they think because it's flatter would be better. They're like, oh, I want something super easy and super flat.
Yeah, it may not be.
Sometimes it not be even that good, because that means that you're not going to get a break in any of the muscles, and you're going, like, if it's a flat, it's brutal when it's very flat. It's better to have a tiny bit of elevation, so you're going to be hiking up, getting that break a little bit in your quads, and then have a little bit of round downhill, which are usually quite nice. And
I think
if
possible,
run a little bit faster.
It's good to identify the terrain first.
Yeah.
And I know that won't always happen. But you know, just when you were saying that, I was thinking about, do you remember when we done the West Island Way section? We walked that, and the pain I was getting then was my IT band. And we were walking that, do you know what I mean? But I think that's probably an inherent thing with me, that I get that because I'm at ankle and what I'm doing
not right. Yeah.
And because what I'm doing is I'm compensating one side for the other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
But yeah.
it's great that we're learning. You're learning a lot along the way.
Well, about myself and my body, I guess.
With us together. Yeah. So yeah, so far Andy is doing excellent. We'll keep you updated in that and just keep following him. And I guess a lot of people would see themselves in you because they're just starting, and then they'll be like, oh, I feel the same, or I've going through the same thing, or your mindset or what you're thinking may be a little bit different from someone that has been in the sport already. And I kind of, like I was saying, I kind of forget almost a little bit how it was, because that was like 10 years ago. Not that I forgot, but you know, it's been a while now. And it's always good to have that kind of reminder and be now in the other side of kind of like your future you. And it's kind of like reminding you kind of what that is normal, what to do or what not to do, or, you know. So it's great to have that guide, which I never did. So
Joe, it's been really cool. All the words of encouragement from people. From all over, do you know what I mean? From even like your friends, my friends.
Andy has more fans than anyone.
The podcast, everybody, the ultra happy people getting in contact.
Everyone's so excited for you. Like I said,
brilliant.
No one's excited for Tanya anymore. Like no one cares about me.
I care.
I am excited for you. I think I'm even almost excited for you. I'm like, I don't care about nothing. None of my other 2 races left for the year. I'm just looking forward to Greece. And I wasn't even thinking in doing Greece or anything.
It'll be fun.
If you said you're jumping in, you're like, okay,
I think it'll be fun.
I guess we're going to Greece, people. But we're looking forward to that and sharing all that with you as we go on. But we do have, like I said, 2 bumps before that big punch. We have Atacama, my 5th and last desert, 250 kilometers across Atacama Desert. And it is, again, the same as we've done in the previous ones, 6 stages. I have to carry everything I need to. I am happy that I think I've got sorted most of the equipment, obviously, because it's kind of the same as the other deserts. And I kind of know what works, what doesn't work. And actually this week also, we were invited to talk to the new generation of Racing the Planet alumni. So the people that are looking to maybe sign up or they're interested, they held like a little Zoom call.
I was on that call as well. And
there's people all around the world. Of course you were, because you're now part of the 2025 generation. So I was invited to kind of share my experience with everyone. And they sent some questions, and I also had some questions from previous episodes that we haven't had a chance, because we've been like literally kind of like just first updated you through the whole experience. So I have lots of questions to answer that today we are going to. And also I got a lot of questions in Spanish too, by the way, which it was very funny because I have a listener, big cheers to, I think it's fair, it's called, and he is, he's like, listen to us in English. And he's like, I think my English is getting better just listening. So listen, you're learning about running. You're like getting all these insight and learning English.
Multi-educational.
There you go. So, but I am gonna do a Spanish episode for everyone Spanish. I feel like I need to for my people to do a Spanish, and hopefully I get a Spanish speaking friend that could come also and share with you, so you guys have a little bit also. And
we actually have, and we won't say who it is at the moment.
Yeah.
But we've got some really exciting guests coming on in the future, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
We
have a couple. Oh yeah.
Really exciting.
Oh, I know which one you're saying. Yeah, I was like,
really exciting.
Which ones? Because we have 2 in the burner there, and They're awesome, but there is one that is, I think,
Really
I
awesome.
got so excited when I got the reply that they will come in. I was truly
don't get that
excited.
way.
I know.
Don't get that
Okay.
way.
So
Okay.
watch out for this season. Super, super fun. And let's get us started with, obviously, Facts by Auntie.
I feel like we should have a jingle for this.
You can sing.
Right, okay.
Go.
So listen,
Sing
so
it.
now that we are now going to start talking about Atacama, I wanted to talk about running at altitude.
Should I mention Atacama? Okay, just to put everyone kind of like a little bit. So the difficult part of Atacama is that it's run in altitude, as Andy mentioned. So I guess that's why that gave you the idea, because I was reading about the Atacama Desert. And you know how every desert has like his little difficulty? Atacama is that it's held in a little bit of, like, it starts pretty high up. You go a little bit higher up, and then we start descending, which everyone, the people that have done it, that I've talked to, they said that like the days, like 3, 4, 5, the last couple of days it gets better, but the first 2, 3 days is quite brutal.
Well,
So-
strap yourself in.
Let's see.
So, did you know that Atacama runs between 2,000 and 4,000 feet above sea level?
How much? 4,000.
Between 2,000 and 4,000 above sea
Oh,
level.
feet though.
No,
Meters.
meters.
Ah, okay.
2,000 to 4,000 metres above sea level. So, in my head, you being Mexican and all, and living in Mexico City,
Yeah.
that is 2,240 metres above sea level. So I thought Atacama should be a breeze for you. But no, stop looking at my notes.
Oh, no.
Stop looking at my notes.
I'm reading your notes.
I know.
Okay.
But no. After 3 to 5 years, your body loses the physical adaptations it used to have. So things you need to look out for.
That's one of the questions I actually had in my head that I needed to research.
Well,
Oh my God.
so
All right,
things
guys.
that you need to look out for
Okay.
is, now with being away for so long, you're going to have a reduced blood cell count. So you no longer have the same oxygen carrying capacity.
But I'm in heat.
It doesn't matter. The altitude and heat are completely different things. Also, decreased efficiency, so you're not going to get oxygen to the muscles as efficiently as you used to.
I'm just gonna die.
And then obviously the reduced breathing efficiency. However, what you can do to help
What can
is
I do?
you need to reduce your chance of AMS, which is acute mountain sickness,
Yep.
by being there before, which you're going to do.
How long?
And gently exercising. It suggests a few days, between 3 to 5 days is normally efficient.
A
right?
week.
And what you do is, but you need to do light exercises. You can't go for long runs. What you need to do is you need to build it up. And then the next thing is super hydrate and include iron to improve your blood cell production. So when you get there, you need to, you should be taking iron tablets or iron full foods.
Did I
to
tell
try and
you
help
that I was researching? So there is these things that you can rent that are like tents that you put over your bed, and then it's like hypoxic, obviously without oxygen. That's means hypoxic. Like a tent, and you put it in your bed so you can sleep, simulating altitude.
The way Michael Jackson did. Oh no, that was something different. That.
Probably.
Because no, I think his was just full of oxygen, so he was.
Oh yeah,
increased
yes.
oxygen,
Well, it's the same, but the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at those to rent one of those. Imagine I just knock in the house like, hey. It's really good apparently for your health, because
would
obviously
imagine
you
so.
get super, like, you make more like blood cells and adaptations from it.
Okay. So
Imagine if you like you're sleeping that, and then you go out and try to run in full oxygen, you'll be like a superhuman.
yeah, but it's not just about that. What it needs to be is, it needs to be that your body builds up to be able to handle the capacity and the
Yeah.
density of the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with your blood cells, for example, your red blood cells, because you've got reduced blood cells,
Yeah.
and when you lived in Mexico, so people that live at high altitudes
Yeah.
have millions more.
So
red
tell
blood
them
cells.
what would happen to you when you used to come and visit me.
Oh yeah, I mean I've been to Chile as well. I've been to quite a few places above sea level, and I really struggled.
And what?
in the beginning.
How did you feel?
I had to take tablets for it.
You had to
I
take tablets, and I
for
was
it.
like, what were you doing? He's like, I can't sleep. I'm dying. I couldn't
Yeah.
breathe. And I was like,
because
I
it
never
throws you all
understood.
over the place. It
That's so
actually throws you all
wild.
over the place. But so for Andy's facts about altitude this week, number one, Altitude training benefits. So this is for training at altitude, so improved oxygen efficiency.
Correct.
Running at elevation stimulates the production of ethiopian, EPO, which increases red blood cell count and enhances oxygen delivery to the muscles. This adaptation helps improve endurance. A study in high altitude training and performance by Levine and Stray Gunderson in 2001 showed that altitude training can boost sea level endurance performance by 1 to 2%. So that means if you do it the opposite way, if you train at altitude and then you come down,
you're a superhuman.
You are superhuman.
That's what I was saying. Like, what if we rent that tent or buy our tent? I mean, high performance people do it.
I've got this vision of me lying in bed and looking round and you lying in a tent. That is going to be strange.
Exactly. And then obviously I'm sleeping like that. And then you go out and work out in like this fully oxygenated environment.
Like
you're like,
yeah,
superhuman.
Okay, so next one is about VO2 max, which we love that, VO2 max.
Oh, I hate it because I suck at it.
I think
that's why I'm an ultra runner, people.
I have a problem with VO2 max. It just seems to be all over the place.
I'm an ultra runner.
So increased VO2 max over time. Training at altitude can initially decrease VO2 max due to reduced oxygen availability, but over weeks of acclimatization, athletes see improvement in oxygen utilization efficiency. A study in Chapman et al. In 1998 demonstrated that elite runners acclimatized to 2,500 meters improved their VO2 max upon returning to lower altitudes. So it seems to be that, to me, it sounds like when you're at that higher level and you're training, your body's working a lot harder and everything to make it happen.
Yeah.
So when you come back down, like we were saying, superhuman.
So I think it's going to be great. That is then, you know how I was saying that the race was so close to Cocodona 250 and I was like a little panicky that maybe I was not going to. But actually, this could be good because I am going to be training in high altitude and then going to Cocodona, which I think it's also high altitude, but not that brutal as Atacama. So
yeah,
it may actually be like kind of working on my favor. Yeah,
because you're going to Mexico after as well, and you'll still be at higher altitude.
And I won't do anything. I will just literally sleep for 2 weeks.
But I think I think that it's good. I mean, I'm sure you'll be out doing some light running, but that will definitely help your breathing efficiency for when you get to the Cocodona, which is good.
Okay, so this is actually good.
So next one is reduced running economy. Running at high altitude, example above 2,000 metres, increases energy cost due to thinner air, resulting in decreased running economy. A study in Peronet et al. In 1991 found that running economy decreases by 2 to 3% for every 1,000 metres of altitude above sea level. So your running economy gets worse for the higher you go. Every 1,000 metres you go higher, your running efficiency dips by about 2%.
I don't think we're going to do a lot of running.
I'm definitely not.
No, in Atacama, I don't think I'll be doing a lot of running. I know, like I said, the couple first days, I think, again, we don't have the elevation, right? We just know by what we've heard and know about from people that have done it in other years. So they say like first couple of days is quite climbing up and up and up and up and up. So maybe there's not a lot of running. So, but yeah, that's one of the things I am a little bit not scared, but I know it's going to be the battle. You know how in the other ones I was like, oh, it's going to be hot. Like I'm like, my mind is getting ready to face, I don't know, the heat or the sand or, you know, whatever. And this one is like, I am kind of like start to get my head around altitude, and that is going to be a struggle in this one.
Well, next one is slower speeds due to hypoxia. So I mean, I think this one's pretty obvious that the lower oxygen availability, hypoxia, at high altitudes slows running speeds. For instance, the equivalent effort for a sea level 5k time of 20 minutes can take 21 minutes at 2,500 metres. Study in Wilbur 2001 reported this as a current trend in altitude training, emphasising the direct impact of hypoxia on performance. So it obviously slows you down. My last one I added in, and this is for all our Atacama runners out there to ever think about if you haven't thought about it already.
Or if you have any race that it's in altitude. easier.
Potential for altitude sickness without proper acclimatization, which is AMS, which we spoke about earlier. Running at elevation without acclimatization can lead to acute mountain sickness, causing headaches, nausea, fatigue, and sickness.
Oh, that
Study
is
in
horrible.
Roach et al. In 1995 found that athletes unaccustomed to altitudes above 2,500 metres are at higher risk of AMS, which can impair their performance. So I think anybody running at that altitude have to find a way of being able to train beforehand and getting the time beforehand.
I did one of my first races I've ever did in Mexico was in the Iztaccíhuatl, which is like the skirt of the volcano, which is quite high. And we used to go higher up a little bit. And that was the issue. And there was a lot of people from Mexico, but also from parts of Mexico that were like sea level, obviously. So you could see right away that those people were dying. Like you would see them just throwing up and they would look green because they were just having really a tough time. I was okay because I'm from Mexico City, or I was living in Mexico City at the moment at that time. So I was able to see it. I did feel at the very top, almost getting to the checkpoint that was in the top, really like that kind of sickness. Like my tongue was getting like a little bit sleepy, like I couldn't speak too much. I was sleeping like that. I would feel very dizzy and very sleepy, like I could just crawl and fall asleep. And that's probably because there's no oxygen, so which is you get fatigued or like exhaustion really fast. And I remember I got to the checkpoint and I told the lady, I can't do this, I'm out. Like I was just all over the place. Funny. One, they gave me a glass or a little, drink. It was half a beer with half Coke, full Coke.
But it's funny.
I don't know how that worked, but that one woke me up. And I was like, ooh, yes, life is good. And she's like, after this is the highest point, the checkpoint. And then it was all going down. And she said, it's fine. Like, just keep going. If you feel bad the same way in the next checkpoint, which it was down, going down now in altitude, then you quit. But trust me, you'll be fine. It's just the altitude. That's why you're feeling like this. So I was like,
because what the beer does is thin your blood.
See? So there's a why.
A couple of points that's not down in Andy's facts that I read, because obviously I read a bit about it, is remember we were talking about how I took a pill, which will help me. That pill...
I took a pill and it be...
Chill out. What that done, obviously, is that helps for normal days and it thins your blood or whatever and helps you carry your red blood cells carry oxygen. But when I was reading about it, it says it's not always suggested for runners or athletes. They need to find a way to actually have a sustainable way of running at altitude. So I know we've discussed the altitude masks and all that before, and I think that's for another conversation. Also other things to remember as well is that the higher you go up, the less oxygen gets to your brain. So that's why you were feeling that sensation in your mouth. But also that then leads to things like hallucinations and everything else. So it's super important for anybody that is going to do any real height is to get away and get a sustainable way beforehand of being able to change and get and adapt. Or like
get acclimatized before.
Because if you're going to get to that 4,000 height wise, then you are going to be all over the place. So that has got the potential really to cause people to DNF because they'll be sick and they'll be like really in a bad place.
All over the place. And I didn't throw up. It was just like, it was really light mountain sickness. The people that were coming from total sea level, they were throwing, like they were just gone. Like it was, I remember when I finished the race, I told my parents that up there was like zombie land. Because everyone looked very green and they were like just wandering around, just throwing up this like green stuff. Everyone was just very sick. Again, I didn't get sick, but I did feel really bad. And having a beer definitely changed it. So
one tried and tested way, which has worked for centuries and centuries, that I read about.
Oh, the marijuana leaf.
No, cocoa leaf.
Oh, go on.
Cocoa leaf. If you can get natural cocoa leaf, and what you do is you chew that while you are running or while you're doing any exercise.
So the one that
then
they
that
give you
supports-
in Peru and all that?
That's right. They can give you in Peru, and you can buy it, right? And you can have a wee read beforehand.
We'll need to
but
check
that really helps
for
apparently.
Atacama, because that is going to be an issue. If you guys know any kind of, I don't know.
Easy solutions.
Yeah, let us know.
Because you can't run drunk.
Otherwise, I'm gonna have to carry my beer with me, beer and Coke, and that seemed to
I guess
fix it.
there are definitely blood thinners and things that are out there. Like, and not that I'm suggesting
again,
for people to do this.
yeah.
We don't want to give any advice, but aspirin, for example, is a blood thinner.
Obviously,
as well.
I will let you know, guys. Obviously, we are presenting what the issues are in these episode. Obviously, I'm gonna try it, test, and obviously do a couple of research myself and see if what works and what is safe to use, and also what other racers have been doing, because learning from other people's experiences is probably one of the best ways also to kind of know and learn. So
anybody out there that can tell us
exactly as we get on, we obviously, and then when we finish and we come back to share it, we will let you know which was the solution that kind of worked and what would recommend you to do or what to try. So really excited for that. So let's get cracking into today's episode. I have a couple of questions that I haven't replied about Antarctica first. Let's just, because I have a couple there, not too many, but I've got a couple of questions about shoes, like what kind of shoes I wore, and if I used Gore-Tex shoes and socks, like if it was waterproof socks or what was a combination. I used my my sealskins, so my really thick socks, and I wore my normal shoes. So I didn't use the Gore-Tex shoes at all. I did buy ones and I had them with me, but I didn't use them because I think you need to use one or the other. Like, you cannot use a Gore-Tex shoe that has like no airflow and then use the sealskin socks, which are also quite...
Yeah, because then what you're doing is you're getting trapped. Like nothing.
Yeah, you have like zero ventilation in there, and that will call probably for problems. The problem develops when you get blisters is that one, you getting wet, the foot is getting wet and it's not drying up. So, and that chafing, kind of, that's what causes the blister. So always try to, in this race or any race, just try to have a little bit of ventilation, like just let your foot breathe, if that makes sense. So in this case, that's what I did. So I just used one or the other. And actually, I did it both. So I did one day with normal socks and the Gore-Tex shoes, and then, which my foot got super cold. I don't know if it was because the day was the coldest day, and I was like, oh, hell no, this is too cold. Or maybe I just didn't like it, because I like the other combination, which I did a sealskin sock, which is the sealskin sock is really thick, and my normal New Balance, just no Gore-Tex shoes, just my normal shoes. And that worked. That worked brilliantly. And it was not hot. It was not cold, like I shared with you in the previous episodes, but it was very windy in some parts. And the wind is the one that was freezing cold, right? So what I did is I put my gaiters on.
That was going to be my question, because I wanted to know if you put your gaiters on. I put
my gaiters on. Obviously, clearly there was no sand, right? And probably they got wet a little bit. I have gaiters that are really thick. They have two gaiters. One of them are like thin, and then the other ones are kind of thick and plasticky. So those are the ones that I wore, because they were not going to like, put all the water, like was not absorb the water. They were like kind of like a little bit repellent. I mean, they were not waterproof, but they were repellent enough. And I put those just to kind of hold a little bit the wind, but still allow me to breathe a little bit. So that combination for me worked excellent. Again, you need to kind of find your combination. Like I said, I even tried those two combinations, the 2 days. And I had my gaiters in my bag just in case. So when it got really, really, really windy, because I was just wearing the shoes with no Gore-Tex, I could feel all the wind coming through. And I was like, oh, that was a little bit too much. That's
fresh.
Too much ventilation, over ventilation. And I don't want my foot to freeze. So I just put kind of like the cover. And I had a little bit of like, I could feel my foot breathing, but it was not cold. I don't know if that makes sense. So that definitely worked for me. So that was one of the questions. Number 2, the Drake Passage, how to survive it, or how do you survive it? I just laid down.
Not with the glasses that you bought.
I didn't use the glasses. To be honest, I just realized it was better to be laid down. I know there was a lot of people having a really rough time because they were like trying to be brave, and also because I think they were like, oh, I'm in the Drake Passage. I want to go and see everything, and I want to explore the boat, and I want, you know. And that happened to a couple of people. They were like out and about and just kind of like walking around the boat, and they thought. Actually, one of them told me like, oh, I thought I'm just gonna go and distract myself because I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh, I'm just gonna go and distract myself. Just gonna go and walk and get some fresh air. Yeah, that didn't work out. But then she ended up throwing up in like the meeting room.
I guess it's understandable because it's a once in a lifetime thing you're going to do, and because of the hype of the Drake Passage, you kind of want to see what's going on, don't you? And exploring the boat, I understand why you would do it, but.
Oh, I'm feeling really sick.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go out and get some fresh air, or I'm just gonna try to distract myself. And then you end up doing something, and then that was not the way. We found that the way was just lay down, just do nothing, and just sleep it through. So if you can sleep it through.
Perfect.
Yes. And question number 3, elevation. How was it? In Antarctica, and I think in all of them, we were hit by a lot of elevation, more than I would like it. But in Antarctica in particular, yes, there has a lot of elevation. I don't know if every year it will be the same route because they change it every year. Even every day, they didn't even have where we're going.
You didn't know where you were going at any point,
no,
did you?
And I don't even think the race organizers also, they don't know because it depends in the boat and the reservations of the boat and like which, you know, there's a lot of, like I was saying, the permits, and they need to see how much time they can stay in each part because they have laws or rules to follow each boat. Each boat allows them to stay in a certain island or a certain place in Antarctica X amount of time because there's other boats coming that want also to be in there. And I mean, I think it's great because it's a way that Antarctica is protecting Antarctica with those laws. So that way you don't have like 10 boats in the same area.
Did you see any other boats?
Yeah, there was 2 other ones. There was one and then another one in another day, like 2 separate boats. But we know there is a lot, and even we were watching some documentary saying that Antarctica and tourism has like exponentially grew so much these past years. So yeah.
Going back to the elevation, see, because obviously it's so white, are you able to tell the elevation? Because normally when you look at a mountain, you can tell, but with snow and everything,
I was able to see the little dots coming up, and I was like, oh no, am I going up there? And then because it was a loop, the second time I will know.
Yeah.
The third time I would know. And then I would be like, oh, great. So, yeah. So we're hit with a lot of elevation. And I think all of it. Gobi was brutal as well. and Jordan, soul destroying. So, yeah. If you're going to do these races, get your mountain legs out.
Another question. Going back to Namibia with the elevation. Because, hold on. I can see you ready to jump in. Because there is no strict elevation as such because it's dunes and it changes all the time.
Yeah.
So was there any dunes that you thought, oh dear goodness, they are crazy. How am I going? That's like bigger than a mountain.
They too. Yeah, they too. I thought I was just going to...
Because the other problem is with sand dunes is it's like you take 4 steps up and 2 steps back.
Down. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's almost like you're doing double the elevation.
It was horrible.
Any advice for people out there with that?
50 degrees. I was carrying an overweighted backpack it was hell. It was hell. It was brutal. Not only for me, like seeing everyone suffer, like people were just like falling in, like you can see them just like giving up and then just like laying down. So you will pass on like bodies around, like okay.
But any advice for walking on sand, or even that kind of sand?
Or even walk and there will be like bodies just like lay down like that. They were fine, but they were taking just a break. But it just looks very dramatic when you're just walking and there's like, because there's not clearly a seat or a rock or anywhere to sit down or lay down or anything. They're just bodies like laying down like that out of like there. Again, strength. It's just, if you have a strong body, you will be able to climb. If you are fit, you know, have a good aerobic capacity, you will be able to push through. And it goes back to the patient side and mental strength, right? So we just, to know that June, even though it was 1 kilometer, probably took me an hour to climb it.
Yeah, because it is that 4 steps.
So it's like,
back.
It's just like a patient game. And obviously just having the strong body to be able to carry it, you know, without, and even though I think quite strong and all that, I was cramping a lot.
I was going to say about your thighs and your calves were killing
you. I struggle with some cramping day 2, which is the sand dune climbing day. Yeah. And it was very hot, so obviously salt, dehydration didn't help that.
So sand definitely worse than snow.
Oh, 100%. Well, I don't know. Yeah. I think because it's hot.
Yeah.
If it's cold, you know, you
You're
can take off layers
sides,
and then you can be a little bit, you know, but when it's hot, I struggle. Great. 4th question. We still start off in Antarctica chat. Nutrition. How did I deal with 12 hours not being able to eat? Yeah, this is one of the kind of things that I had to solve in that race in particular, because we couldn't eat through running, like through the day. And it was good that we were able to have like a big breakfast, you know, in the boat, cooked and, you know, nice, not dehydrated, horrible breakfast. Like we had like a proper, and I had a really big breakfast, like eggs with a lot of protein and a little bit of fats and a little bit, you know, like put like a little bit of bacon and like just have like good big breakfast. And that will pull me through for a good 3-4 hours, I would say. Just remember that I had my 2 water bottles with electrolytes and carbs in them. So I was never run down entirely. Like I always had like a little bit of food every sip.
Question. I recently heard or read a topic about overeating for breakfast and taking too many carbs on. Mm-hmm. Does that affect
Was it
nutrition?
good or bad or what?
Well,
what
it was bad because what happens is if you overcarb in the morning, then you can struggle a bit through the day, through that morning because of it.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but you will have the food in. Like you will struggle in the sense that maybe you will feel heavy for a little bit. But again, since I'm not freaking sprinting down, you're gonna feel maybe a little bit like bloated and full. But you know, it's better to be full than be hungry, I guess.
Okay.
And again, this is a strategy that I had to do just in this one in particular, because we couldn't. In the other races, I will have just a normal breakfast, not feel super heavy, because it's also really hot, and the heat and being full, that is like a mix for disaster as well. And I was able to eat through the day, so I didn't need to do that.
I guess if you're carb drinking as well.
Yeah, I will top up my glycogen levels. Like I would never let them just 100% get depleted. The problem with that is the game, like, don't get depleted at 0, because that's when the runners call it to hit the wall. And that's when they're like, you totally bunk, and it's really hard to come back from that place. So you don't want that to happen. So yeah, nutrition, I do that. Just eat your carbs. Slurp your food. And about Gobi, I had one lost thing from Gobi out there. How did I deal with the river crossings? So obviously there is, I think you've seen a couple of videos that I've showed you where there's a certain different techniques how you can deal with river crossings. If you take your shoes, obviously, and then cross like that barefooted, or I don't know, I will be scared because I don't know if there's any jaggy rocks, but you can take off your shoes and walk across and then dry your feet and then put the socks again. Or what I do, which I don't like to take off my shoes because that takes too much time and energy, and no. I just pick a shoe that is very drainable, like it's very easy to dry off.
Yep.
And I wouldn't recommend a Gore-Tex shoe because the water is going to come in and it's not easily drainable, those Gore-Tex shoes.
Which is funny because that's what Gore-Tex is, isn't it? If you think about Gore-Tex
they are,
jacket.
obviously they do.
Yeah.
Eventually the water will come out, but it will take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like running and you're going to be like feeling like that squishiness. And it's just uncomfortable. And who knows how long it's going to take your foot to dry. Again, and it also depends how prone you are in getting blisters. It's a very important topic because if you are someone that is prone, like you have a delicate feet, that happens. That's how you were made. And you will need I would recommend that, yes, take that extra time to stop, dry the feet. I mean, take the shoes off, dry it, and then put them again.
Yeah.
If you're prone to that. If you're not prone to that, then just find a shoe that is, that can drain very well. In these kind of races, for example, in the Gobi one, it was just that crossing, and then the race or the run in general was pretty warm and toasty and hot. So to be honest, in a half an hour later, my feet were dry because they were already like.
But the thing is, right, is that obviously, I love trainers and I love running trainers now. There's nowhere in the description of any running trainers I've ever seen that it says
Drainable.
Drainage.
Drainage, 100%.
Drainable. How do you know what's the best way to figure
I think
it out?
the mesh in the front, like in the top, you can feel it if it's quite thick or if it's, like rubbery or whatever.
Yeah.
I use New Balance.
Me too. But mine's is road running.
I mean, New Balance at this point, please just send us shoes. You can sponsor
just in case
us at this
anyone's
point.
listening to New Balance.
I would use those just because I like them. Now, if you like a shoe, but you find out that they're not very drainable, like you find out like the water doesn't come out very fast. What I've seen around is that they put holes on it, like they poke holes.
What in the actual fabric?
Yeah, in the fabric and to the sides.
Okay, so
make them aerodynamic.
Yeah. Wow.
You see everything out there. When you're out there and you need to solve
the problems.
That's it. You just poke the things. Or when people buy the wrong size of shoes, like if you've been watching this, you should know that you have to go with a shoe that is at least one size bigger than yours, right? But for someone that hasn't listened to this podcast and they're going to go and do all those mistakes, I've seen them that they get there. They cannot fit their foot inside the shoe in day 3 and they had to cut the top of it.
Oh, really? That would kill me. But needs must. You just have to solve. I mean, I've cut the sleeves of a t-shirt before because I didn't bring sleeves to cover my arms in Namibia because I thought it will be fine. I have Mexican skin. The sun won't get me. Mexican skin.
Whatever. And then I get there, I'm like, oh my God, I am roasting. The thing was that if I put water in my skin, it will dry off really fast.
All right, okay.
But if I put the sleeve, because it's fabric, really, it will keep the moist a little bit longer. Yeah. And that will bring relief a little bit of the heat. Okay. So that's why. So I had to cut off the sleeves of my top, my lovey top that was one of my favorite ones. I was just cutting it and crying, like, oh my God, my top. But again, you just have to solve.
Going back to the trainers, I guess it's a case of just people trying it. Because, for example, 2 weeks ago, I ran through water for the first time, remember?
Oh, yeah. And you were like, I don't want this. I
run in the Nike Trail Zagamas, and I ran through it, and I was like, I don't like this. This is horrible. But literally half an hour later, they were dry because it all came through, and I didn't think it would be like that. Mm-hmm. So I guess for some people, for their running shoes, they guess they need to run through water and try it first.
Yeah, just run in the water there. And I know it's going to feel uncomfortable for the next couple of minutes because it's going to be all squishy and squishy. Yeah. But I just know that if you have a good drainage system in your shoe, it won't last too long and it would eventually dry. So, yeah. So that's what I did with the river crossings. All right. Next question. What you wish you had known before your first race? What would you?
It's got to be something to do with mental toolkit.
Number one thing, I think that every gram counts. I think everyone told me that. But I was like, I'm strong. I'll be fine. No, but yeah, seriously. My first bag was 10 kilos and I think it was too much. Like I struggled. So I can't stress that enough. And that was one because I was carrying a big battery, I remember, which that was pretty stupid. It's just like you pick your battles. You need to pick your battles right. Like your one or two luxury items and everything else is pretty much survival kit. So
I remember you came back from the first one and you were like, right, okay, I need
we
to
need
cut
to
it all
fix
down.
this.
So we were cutting the handles off of toothbrushes and everything.
Every single gram literally counts. And if you can bring your bag to, I would say 8 kilos, it's pretty comfortable for everyone, regardless of your size. So I know it's a little bit of like unbalance of a guy. And
yeah, because my question would always be with that, surely it's relative, because say for example, and we'll call him I don't know, a high rocks guy who's big on top, he's a runner, he's a bit of he does everything and he's taking on that challenge. He's bigger, he's bulkier, he needs to carry more nutrition. So he's going to be carrying, 12 kilos and probably be as comfortable with that as you with 8. Mm-hmm. Do you think that would be relative, or do you think you just want to get it down?
I think I would get it down to 8 just because he's going to feel more comfortable. And I would imagine you don't need that much nutrition during your run. Like you will have to have 1 gel per hour. I mean, remember that if you are running faster, you will get to the camp sooner. Yeah. And that means that you're going to need lunch and you're going to need dinner.
But that mean you're carrying more?
You're carrying no, because then you're going to have less nutrition during the race, because instead of being out there for 9 hours, you're going to run 4, but you're going to need lunch. So it evens out, to be honest, regardless of if you're running or if you are a little bit slower and back in the pack. For example, I was kind of always in the middle-ish. My was 8 hours, 9 out there, and then I will get to the camp and then cook dinner. But if you are in the front row, like for example, that happened to me in Gobi when I was one of the fast ones, and I would finish really early, I would get to the camp and I'm like, it's just too early. I don't have...
Yeah, you've got all that time.
Yeah, what am I going to do? And I was already getting hungry. So, I ate less during the course, but now I needed something. So I remember I had to eat my gels and waited until dinner, because otherwise that wouldn't have worked. So I think it evens out. I think a good average for a backpack, 8 kilos is pretty good, pretty average.
Because how much are you taking water with that as well? So if it's 8, you take it to 10, don't you?
Yeah, you get it to take. Yeah, but if you start with 10, that's a problem. And then remember that through the day, it starts going down. Through the race, it starts going down because you start eating your food. Less and less. So 8 to start 8, that is in your heavy side, and then you start going less and less and less. But if you start with 10 plus water, that's 12. And then if you go down, you will get down to 10, when you lose everything. I mean, that's a lot still. So yeah, I would wish someone told me to just cut all those luxury items a little bit more. You're not going to need them as much as you think you will. Don't stress about trying to fit everything in your backpack, because I remember the first race, I tried to put everything inside and I was like, this is not going to fit. And I was just panicking. I was like, I needed to go, clearly take the plane and go. And I just said, I'm just going to have to figure it out there, because I have no idea. Yeah. And one person in the group chat, very nice, I remember they said, don't worry, like we have never left anyone. Like there's no one that hasn't been able to race because they cannot fit their stuff in their bag. And I thought, that's true. Like there's no one that DNF'd because they're thinking, oh, don't worry, they will fit somehow. You will figure it out when you're there. And if you don't, like you have to have your mental toolkit and your solving skills to kind of figure it out. So when I finally did my backpack in Namibia, after literally I took a day of like packing it and unpacking it, because it didn't work. I wasn't understanding how to fit everything. I cut everything off. Like I had everything, like all the wrappers, everything, it was away, and I still couldn't fit it. I was able to fit everything in, just not my sleeping bag. So I thought, okay, that's only one thing that I can't, how can I solve this? And I remember, what if I attach it outside? And I'm like, okay, with what? I'm in the middle of Namibia. like in this town. So I thought I'm just gonna go out and see if I can find like a
wrap of some kind.
Yeah, like a string or something, right? I went to these sport shops and all I can find was a shoestring. And I said, this will work. And with a shoestring, I was able to like
just tie it on.
Tie
I
it in the back.
at the bottom
So if you see my
bag,
pictures,
yeah.
I have a tie in the back, and that's my sleeping bag. And since then, actually, that worked. I kept that for all my other deserts as well.
Very good.
Very, very impressive.
Problem solving skills.
Problem solving skills. So yeah, don't worry. Don't stress over those things. You will figure it out. And don't have everything figured out. It will work out. That's my third point. Like, just don't overstress and don't try to have everything figured out before you get there, or even before signing up. I think for these or any race, to be honest, like, just sign up and just know that you will figure it out. You will see, like, even for Namibia, we had an issue with my visa. I didn't know how I was gonna get there because I couldn't get the South African visa. And I was like, okay, I'm going to sign up and then we'll figure out maybe another way. And yes, it worked out that I had just to buy another plane, like directly to Swakopmund rather than go through other. But like, if I had dwelled too much on that, like, oh, how difficult it's going to be, I can't get, and then I would have got spooked or not signed up because I would have thought that was too difficult to do. So don't worry, you'll figure it out. And next question. Top 3 tips you would give someone preparing for a race. Oh, only 3. Okay.
Only 3.
10 tips. 3. So number 1, I think by now you will all know this one. Strength. Strength is your best friend. Strength for life. More gym, less running, my friends. I know it's a running race, but I think this one, or any ultra race, if you are planning to do any ultra distance or any run, I guess, you do need some strengthening base. So the better you are preparing for your race, like with more time that you have beforehand, is better. So that way you can really have the time to build a really strong strength block. Like, for example, Andy, right now, you're like fairly a couple, like, good months away. So put in all your time and effort sort of in that, building that base. And as you get closer to the day of your race, you start working on a specificity, which is like maybe a little bit more running. And then when you even get closer, you get even more specific. If it's a race with a lot of elevation, then start, climbing or doing more elevation, hikes or whatever. So go from the general to the more specific as you go. So right now, at the start of the year, if you have some races, so get that strengthening first in place. Number 2, I would say train your mindset. I know everyone's gonna be like, yeah, we know you said that 100 times, but seriously, if you have the best preparation, you're in your best shape, you train so hard, but if your mind is not well trained, I think at the first moment of weakness, you're going to crumble and fall apart. So like I said, it's things that you can practice with everyday challenges. Like if you haven't, for example, Andy, that probably you don't have, I have already like a lot of like a big mental toolkit, right? That's how I call it, because I've done a lot of races, a lot of difficult races. So whenever something comes up, I'm like, hey, you can solve this. You've done this and this and this, that it's worse than this. So you can definitely go through it, right? But if someone that maybe like you, perhaps, or someone that is just starting, it will be a little bit harder to be like, oh, I don't know, I've never failed this, before. And
I know people have some things in their past that what they do is they dig into because it helps them get through certain stages or whatever, the tough parts. I don't really have that. Mm-hmm. But what I do have is I've got a set of already at this point, I've already got a sort of different mental toolkit. Mm-hmm. So, for example, in my old job, I would be standing on my feet for 8 or 9 hours and I would be walking 25k, 30k a day. So for like, me in my head already, I'm thinking,
my feet have felt this before.
We're only going to do another 10k or more than that. So if I get to that, if I get to any of those points, I can tap into that.
Yeah.
But as well as that, I can also think to myself that my training runs, I've done 20k running non-stop. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be. I've climbed that hill before. I know that I've done these things before. I'll
Yeah.
tap into that rather than
Yeah.
do it. So what I'll do is I'll use association to a part in the past.
Yeah.
That I was able to do
Yeah,
that.
you can
and deal with
even
it.
use exactly your training is a great point. Like it's good to do some trainings that are really hard. Like they are, I used to call them character building runs.
Yeah.
And when I used to live in Glasgow, I would go out and if it was like in super pitching rain or super cold weather, I would like, I'm going to go for a character building run. No, it's not going to be about fitness. It's going to be just like, I'm going to go out there and just face
Just like,
whatever.
I know for me to go and do these races, I'm going to have to put backpacks on.
Yeah.
With racing, I'm like you used to
Yeah.
do or whatever, and go walking with them to feel with them so that I can tap back into that in
Yeah.
future, knowing
So like,
that
oh,
I've
that
done
was
30k with a backpack on.
And also everyday challenges. I think every day, whenever you can practice that, practice it. Like don't wait until the race to be like, oh, I'm tough, I can solve this, or only on your training. I think this has to be also done every day in every day because it's not always going to be physical. The kind of the problem or the thing that is bothering sometimes is just mind. And with everyday little things like if you go shopping or whatever, park your car really far away and walk all the way, and then when you're back, like don't use a trolley to bring your stuff. Like make it uncomfortable. Why it's uncomfortable? I don't need to carry the whole bags all the way back to the car, or take the stairs instead of the electric or the elevator lifts, or I mean, like just little stuff that makes you like, oh, I don't want to do this, but push yourself to do it. Or even when you find frustration things, even in work or with family, friends, whatever, I don't know, you're doing a website and it got deleted and you got super frustrated, you have to like pause, breathe, and kind of like face that frustration of, okay, I'm going to calm down. I'm going to put my glasses of love and patience and just know that this thing didn't work. I know because I'm stupid. It's just because I'm new and I'm trying something new and it's fine. I'm learning, and just attack it and solve it with patience. Like, okay, how can we, instead of attack it with frustration and anger, because that can bring you to take decisions that maybe you can regret later. So just train those frustration things. I'll give an example. For example, when I came back to Namibia or even Jordan, many times in my tent, everything will be full of sand. Everything, my food, my mouth. You get tired and frustrated to feel that way. And there's things everywhere. And if it's so easy to get angry and frustrated and you just want to scream and throw everything apart. So it was not about the race. It was not about that, challenge. It's just the frustration of feeling very uncomfortable or just angry of everything is hot, everything's sticky, I'm sweaty, sand everywhere. And, I was able to like, okay, just calm down. We're just going to sit down for a minute and just relax. Pick up your towel, just dust yourself out, just take everything a little bit. So again, you need to practice these things. Don't wait until race day to figure out if you're mentally strong or not. Number 3, learn to forget about times. I think I seen I seen 2 people DNF because of this reason. I think, again, in these races or in any ultra running, in these races in particular, I've seen it twice. One was a sprinter that has very, very fit people, strong, athletic, runners, like proper running runners. One was a sprinter and the other one was a marathon runner. And I could see their frustration again in being the distance so slow, because obviously it's in sand and it's a little bit slower, and they were not running and they were not hitting their paces, and they were like, they couldn't believe that they were doing a marathon in 9 hours, and that just hurt their egos so bad. And I could see their frustration, and they were like, oh no, this is not for me, I can't do this, because they already thought they were failing in just not doing it as fast as they could or they wanted to. I'm not sure. So yeah, if you have an idea of paces or splits or anything, I think just let them go, or just go there with a different objective. It's good that you don't have anything because
But I think
you
it's
have
been
no
aware.
idea.
But I think it's being aware that no matter who you are or what your experience is when you start these races, you're going to get a reality check.
Yeah.
Because it's probably, if you've never done one before, especially, it's not what you think it is. Well, not, if you've not run in sand before, it's not what you think it is. If you've not run in snow before, it's not what you think
10
it
times
is.
slower than you think
Do you know
you
what I
are.
mean? It's like you just need to be prepared for the eventuality and knowing that it's about the getting over the line, not how quickly you do it.
Yeah, but that's difficult for people that I think they are driven by paces, or they are very
and
number
splits, et cetera.
oriented,
Yeah.
or they're fast usually in the street, and then they out there and they're like, oh, I can't believe I'm here in the back of the pack when I am like a 3-hour marathoner. I don't even know if that's fast or not, but you know, I'm an exceptional runner in the street, and I'm here walking with Tanya, which is an average non-runner. That it's here with me. I think the guy just got frustrated.
That's funny. I think it's down to
Or the
individual
person.
people. We actually met two lovely Kenyan elite runners, didn't we? Mm-hmm. And I was speaking to them about this, and we were talking about running and being an elite road runner versus being a trail runner. And even they had said, going into it mentally, it's completely different. And actually, the running style is different as well, because they actually have to be lighter on their feet when they're running trails, and that's how they try and get speed. But they're already adapting their mind to understand that you're never going to go as fast on that.
Absolutely.
So I think it's important that anybody going out there that's thinking I'm
even
going to
the
be
elites,
fast, but these guys are elites. I mean, they're winners at road races, at marathons and everything. So it's something you got to square it up in your head, haven't you?
Just let it go before you get to any of these races. I mean, these or any ultra marathon, I guess. Next question: any equipment or nutrition tips you have? Oh, well, nutrition and gear are so personal. It's the entire journey that you have to go through. But a good rule of thumb that the advice I give is just take what makes you happy and comfortable. About food and nutrition, I know it's a big topic. Yes, take obviously the food for performance. You're going to practice lots with your gels and your carbs and all that. Yes, that's great. But also take some comfort food. Food that took me through a really, really rough patches.
Are you talking about something that you look forward to getting when you get to the finish line?
Yes, your comfort food, like a little like cheeky something that you have in your backpack. I had my Takis, Fuegos. I know I'm Mexican, right? And I'm not a sweet person. Well, I'm not a sweet person.
I'm not answering that.
I am a salty person. So I was looking forward my super spicy and salty Takis at the end of the day. I only was carrying a little bag, so I was allowing myself to have 2 Takis per day. Oh my God.
Wow.
It was so hard to know, like, eat the whole bag in the first day. Trust me.
That's where your real mental toolkit comes out.
It was. Trust me. I was like, just eat it all. And I was like, no, because I wouldn't have anything for another 5 days. So, but to be honest, I was like looking forward to get to the camp, open my bag and just sit there and eat my 2 Takis. In that, and in other races, I have usually, in like normal long 1 day nonstop ultras, I have usually Snickers. Snickers are my go-to when I am racing just a normal. And I usually have it halfway. So I know like when I get halfway the distance, I'm like, do a little happy dance, like, yay, we're halfway, have a party, have my Snickers, and then now we just have to go back. So yeah, I just also put that. And that's it. Just have that cheeky
something.
Yeah. Next one. Most valuable lesson learned at a race. Don't run with used run shoes.
Oh yeah, your wrong shoes. I know, but that was an oversight. I think you thought. I don't think that you ever studied those shoes before that run and thought I could run.
They are really old. Yeah. Let's not run with old shoes. Never again, people. Please. We all learned that. If you haven't read that season, Jordan. But yeah, I mean, despite from that, let's just go for a more generic valuable lesson. Again, I'm going to go back to the mental strength. I think it's everything. Positive mindset has to be practiced, like I said, and it's just practicing with every day kind of things. It's you go and you know how you go to the gym and you work out in your legs and getting injury free and pain free, and you go in the kitchen and you're like eating healthy meals, and now you have to have the other big key component of it is your brain. So kind of also feed your mental brain or with happy thoughts, start training your brain to have a optimistic thoughts and outputs in any situation regardless. And this is a skill, I think, and I think this is something that you can practice.
I feel like we talk about mental toolkit a lot. Which we do, right? But there must be something that you took from race to race to race. For example, we already spoke about probably the most valuable lesson that you had was when you went to your first race and your bag or your backpack was overweight and you came back, and then we started cutting the things apart and you totally redone your pack and it was perfect. The other race was your shoes. But is there anything else from race to race that you thought that was a lesson I should really have learned?
I think that I said the food, I think I learned that I did that good. I was like, oh, I'm really happy.
So you just kept that the same for the next
I was
race.
like, oh, that helped me a lot. The other thing, I had a trip or something happening after the race. So I was like, if you don't finish, you don't go on holiday, Tanya. So that kind of like little carrot in front of me. The little nugget in front of me. That helped me as well mentally. So I kept it. I mean, it doesn't need to be a trip, but it can be like a massage or I don't know.
Are you motivated by anybody when you go to these things? Does that drive you or does that help you or is it just a case of
not by a person? No,
going?
I think it's more of like a price. If I get through, I'm gonna go on holiday. Oh yeah, that will push me through for sure. Yeah. Or I get my takis at the end of the day. Yeah, all about that. All about food and trips, people. Anything else you would like? I know that's it. Oh, I have other questions. Can I first time race hiker who is reasonably fit and planning to walk complete the race with 7 months of training? Yeah, absolutely, yes.
That sounds like me.
It says that reasonably fit. Exactly. Yeah. The key word here is reasonably fit. So if you're fit, you can do it.
Well, the interesting thing is we've seen all shapes, sizes, ages, levels of fitness. Everything. We've had guests on the podcast who literally decided a couple of months beforehand to do it, and people that have been running for 10 years like yourself. So I think
if you are
it's the build-up,
fit,
isn't it?
And if you are, again, mentally strong and you are good problem-solving skills and you're confident that you can crack and be tough and, and you can walk, anyone, literally anyone. So yes.
I think we're racing the planet. The checkpoints and the finishing times are actually quite reasonable.
Yes,
I think
they're not going to cut you off.
When it comes to other ones, and I know we're talking about racing the planet, which are a bit stricter, that puts a bit more pressure on you. Yeah. I think that's different because you need to up your level of fitness to keep running and keep moving quickly, don't you? So it's like a bit different.
That is true. Yeah, it depends on what race you're asking. I know they're asking this one about the Racing the Planet because this was in one of the Racing Planet questions that I put out there. So, but if you are obviously doing another race that you need to check your cut-off times and plan accordingly to that. I'm also like always chasing cut-offs, so I know what you mean. How to deal with carrying weight when running if you're not used to that and have any back issues. I haven't had any back issues, but how to deal with carrying the weight. Well, one, strengthening again, because you have to strengthen your back, your core, your lower back, and practice. There's no other, you need to practice with the weight. Now, if you have back issues already, there is certain ways that you could probably work around it. I know the backpack, obviously most of the weight is carried in the back, but there's also front packs where you can put maybe a little bit more weight there and a little bit of weight in a bum bag, which I have a bum bag just because it's easier to get my food from there. So you can, you could strategize the way of like, oh, okay, I'm going to do 5 in the back, 2 in the front, and 2 in my belt. So that way your back is not carrying as much, and you still, kind of like work around the weight.
Is there such a thing for runners? In weightlifting, weightlifters have a weightlifting belt. Is there such a thing like that for runners where you have a belt that supports your back?
No.
No, does that not exist?
No.
Oh, the $1 million idea. I'll write
There
that down.
you go. Write it down.
And next
but
thing,
just
actually,
practice, yeah.
We came across someone in a video the other day that had pools, sort of holders attached to the backpack. Which I thought was a great idea.
That really good. I used to hold my 2 straps and just kind of pull it, and that kind of relieves a little bit, obviously, of the weight. But yeah, practice, because when you practice, you will figure out like, oh, I'm going to attach this thing here or put this thing in there, and it can give you ideas. Yeah. But in weight distribution also is a good point if you see that your back is hurting from that.
So just to describe it, it was actually 2 straps that were on the backpack towards the front, and what happened is it allowed them to pull the backpack up slightly and take some of the weight. So they're taking the weight on their arms and their chest rather than all on the back.
You can carry that for a little bit though, not all the time, but it's good. I would carry it with my 2 hands in the back, and then I'll just pull it up, and that would help me a little bit. But if you don't have that mobility, probably it will be a problem. But yeah, just check that, and strengthening, of course. And next one, I am a walker, wanted to get some experience. What to expect, and what should be training program for walkers? Again, we have a lot of walkers interested. I think with the longer the distance, this is more for like walkers. So runners, if you hate running like me, just get into ultra running or stage race. We walk a lot. Everyone's different, I guess. The program should be tailored, again, to you, to your lifestyle, depending your everyday stress. Obviously, it's not the same, the program that I may have, that someone that is a mom, full-time job with 3 kids, or someone that Andy, that he used to be in his feet a long time. So the programs will be totally different. So it would depend. And most important, the time that you have available, because you want a program that is consistent and is not like breaking you, and then you can't stay consistent because you don't like it or because you get injured. So it's a lot of things that you need to kind of balance. And if you have someone that can help you with that, it's kind of the best way. And sometimes, again, the apps or AI doesn't know these things deeply, and that's where the issues could be.
What about training camps? Because you always do a training camp before your race. Do you think that helps these sort of things?
Yeah, you have the availability to go and do, like a smaller practice event. That's great. And the overall, again, rule of thumb, right? We're generalizing because I don't know these people. Get in the best shape possible. Shape meaning fitness, right? Not weight. But regardless of your weight or how your body looks, just get super fit and strong. Whatever that weight means for you. I know I wouldn't be stronger, I wouldn't feel strong if I was like 10 kilos lighter, for example, or I wouldn't be happy. And that's not a negotiable for me. So because if I'm not happy, I'm not going to perform well, and I'm going to be just not good. So you need to find that. So wherever you find you are in your base shape, physically, mentally, you feel strong, happy, comfortable, that's how you want to get to the race. Because if you get there a little bit cracked and broken, you're going to have you may finish, but you're going to have definitely more struggle. So, yeah. All right. And boom, got the boom. I changed.
You may notice that Tanya's hair's different. We had to do a quick stop.
Another kind of stuff that you think it happened. I had to go to my spin class, and I was getting very late, so I had to pause the episode. But I was enjoying all your questions, but we actually ran out of time anyways. And yeah, it was a great episode. I know I just said all these questions, they were kind of like very, I don't know if vaguely, but they were very just generalized. But know that if you are thinking into doing any race or starting in this ultra journey, or you have any questions, or you want to dig into any of the answers I just said here, please send me a message. I'm always, you can find me on Instagram or in my page, Run Strong Coaching, as well. And just send me an email, send me a question. I'm always keen to hear your feedback.
I mean, the thing is who would have thought a year ago that I would
Also
have been
here.
talking and running an ultra? Do you know what I mean? It's like, and all the questions I've got, I think it's great to ask people, and even if there's anything that anyone else would like us to discuss, I think it'd be quite interesting to hear some of those things come
Absolutely.
through, you know?
We have a listener that Fer is called. He is practicing his English with us as well. So I know that I need to do one episode at least in Spanish for all my people. Yes, it's coming. I am planning it. I want to have someone here with me that can speak in Spanish with you all and kind of share. So I will have a surprise for you all. And there in that episode, we will answer all your questions in Spanish. Even though I know they're listening to this podcast and he's like, I'm practicing my English. So I mean, you're learning.
It's so good, isn't
and
it?
then you're learning in Spanish. I mean, English as well. Like multitasking. There you go. And running. And
Problem solving.
There you go.
I love
That's
it.
awesome.
Well, just before we finish up, we are very aware that we have got a lot of listeners in California. And I think that with everything going on over there, we're very aware of the situation with the fires, etc. We just wanted to let you know that our thoughts are with you and that we're thinking about you. It's absolutely terrible what's happening over there in this situation, but obviously we are thinking about you and our hearts go out to you.
We're sending you big hugs.
Sending you big hugs.
We're following the news.
Yeah, we're
following
with
the
you.
News. Send big hugs. And if you need anything from this community or if we can do anything to help, I know we're very far away, but if
Please
there's anything that we could possibly, our efforts can be helpful for anything, of course, reach out. We're always here to help any one of our listeners of the community. Or if not, we can probably reach out and make something happen if you need to. So in that note as well, please help us out with your subscribe button there in YouTube. I've noticed as well.
Wait a minute.
That everyone's watching the videos and everyone's listening to the podcast, but you haven't subscribed. So that will help us a lot. Because with that, if we have a certain number of subscribers, we can possibly get more videos out and we can share more of my experiences and more races, and we'll have a little bit more power to do more things, in the sense that we can be going to different places and invited to different events. So we do need that power so we can...
I think...
all you need to do is click. I'll do the heavy lifting. I'll go running.
Oh, I like that.
I think
and run else,
and get tired out there. You just click.
What it does is it helps the algorithm, and it gets these podcasts, these running podcasts, out to the people who are, I guess, looking for them and looking for this kind of information. It was actually really interesting on the call that we had with Racing the Planet, that people are, it's a place that they're going to go to identify the issues or what they need to deal with coming up on the next Race on the Planet. And that was really exciting.
I think it's the first thing you do when you're signing up for a race, isn't it? It's like, YouTube it. That's what I do.
It was so exciting to hear that this is going to be the place that people go to.
Yes,
and welcome to all those people who are joining us.
Yes, we're all mad here. So
we're all mad.
Fun. Enjoy and follow us. Again, follow the subscribe button on YouTube or also in Spotify, and just give us or help us with a review. That also helps, like Andy was saying, with the algorithm to just kind of reach out to more people. And with that said, we have an exciting weekend. I am racing. What?
That we were not racing last week, and now we're racing. Well, when we say we...
Hold on. I was going to...
You.
And then when we say racing... I'm just going to go
just kind of
walk.
running and walking. Yeah.
There was this race. It's apparently a famous, well-known race here in the UAE. It's called the Goat, and it's 100...
Goat. As in greatest of all time?
No, as in like the animal. Because there is a lot of those goats, because it's in the mountains, and it has crazy elevation. It's like 100K... 50 miles. I don't know. Several
Yeah, that's
distances,
quite a few. I've
50
seen it.
and 30. I'm going to be doing 30. I'm going to do the baby distance, I think. Listen, and people are sending messages asking me if I will do the 100. I don't know.
This is news to me.
I know, because that just happened like on the way home back from the spin class. But no. We're doing the 30. And yeah, anyway, I am very excited. I'll try to record as much as I can when I'm not dying halfway up through the mountain to bring you guys all the beautiful scenes from a very different scene, which is the mountains in Dubai. I feel like everyone, even we posted a video about this area that we go running in here in Dubai. And I've got a couple of people asking me, I didn't know Dubai looked like that. Me either. So
Yeah.
I am so happy to kind of have this output or this media to show you that Dubai is not all glitz and glam. It is quite fun and adventurous side as well. So very excited to
And
bring you that.
Bear Grylls has got a camp here. What about
There's
that?
a Bear Grylls camp.
Who knew?
Guys, we need to go and check it out.
Yeah, I think we might do that.
There's like, we can go and climb and jump things. Yeah, sounds fun. So yeah, we should do all that. Let us know if you want us to do all
Go
that.
to the Bear Grylls camp.
Don't, because if they say do it, I'm going to have to do it, and we don't want that. Thank you so much for listening again. Enjoy your weekend, and remember to keep doing whatever makes you
Ultra happy.